Look at all you beautiful faces out there today. I recognize some of you. So my name is Greg Alba. I am the host and content creator of the YouTube channel, The Real Rejects. Yeah, my notes here say hold for uproarious applause, but that didn't happen just now. There it is. That's what I was waiting for. This is my first time ever at Comic-Con. I've never been here. I feel like a lot of you guys are more brave than me to endure the crowds. I actually watched this show, Dark Web, this week. It's an 8-episode series, Amazon exclusive. And I gotta tell you guys, it's actually really good. I was nervous to watch it this week. I hadn't seen a trailer, I hadn't seen a poster, and I agreed to do the panel, and I did have that thought of, what if this show's a piece of shit? So I was really concerned about it, and very, very worried. But I gotta tell you, it's actually really good. And Michael Nardelli, co-creator, producer, star of one of the stars of the show, he keeps asking me, like, do you really mean that? Do you really mean that? I'm like, yeah, you would know if I really didn't like it, because there's like go-to words you can say, like, it's not boring. I was entertained the whole time. And then because I've been put in that position a lot on the channel of how do I review this and be honest about my criticism without being a dick about it, you know? And I don't have to worry about that because the cast is wonderful in the show. There are some truly amazing performances in here. It's a serialized anthology series, so it follows a story of a group of friends trying to track down a missing friend of theirs. But every episode weaves in like a tale from the dark web, so it's really neat. You guys should call it that, Tale from the Dark Web. Is it too late to change it to that? No, you can call it that? What about Unfriended Dark Web? Can you give it that? Yeah? What about Black Mirror ... Kind of, not really? No? Doesn't work? Okay, never mind. But seriously, the show is genuinely engaging. I found it thought-provoking. There were so many times while watching this show, while I was just, my girlfriend and I would be like screaming and rolling around on the couch. It was really, really intense. There's some truly great direction in here. The anthology elements are so freaking cool. And honestly, I found it a little bit inspiring after it was all said and done. So inspiring, I went on the dark web right afterwards. No, I found it so inspiring because the show is actually independently produced. And is anyone in this crowd like an aspiring filmmaker or an aspiring artist? Oh, good amount of hands, most of the hands. If you're an artist, don't be shy to raise your hand. I see your friend pointing at you right now. Just don't be shy. Don't be shy. There you go. And as I'm an aspiring artist myself, so seeing something put together at this professional of a level just motivated me to try to go out there and do my own thing as well. So honestly, I was cautiously excited to be doing this, but now that I can confirm that the show is actually great, I'm so happy to be here. So before we bring out the cast and crew, we want to show you guys the trailer for Dark Web in case you haven't seen it. Let's roll that trailer, shall we? I will wait here.
Emails from someone claiming to be Molly Solis.
Molly who?
From high school. Remember her?
A few days ago, we started getting these bizarre messages from Molly asking for help.
She loved to write. She was always sending me new stuff.
Were they all this twisted?
Molly was drawn to that stuff.
She spent a lot of time lurking in the weird spots of the internet, places most people avoid.
Do you have any idea what Molly was getting involved in? Why she may have wanted to disappear?
How can no one know where she is?
She put real places in the story. Why not just tell us what the hell's going on?
Maybe she's being watched.
Maybe we all are.
There are people out there dismantling the world, and they're just getting started.
People like you. Hackers.
Worse than me.
They will come for you, and I don't know what they'll do when they find you.
If she tried to blow the whistle on the wrong project,
All the
God
more
knows-
reason to keep going. If she found something worth killing for.
Someone clearly thought she knew too much.
I feel like we don't have a choice here. We have to find her. There's something going on.
What the hell did she get us into?
Let me start at the beginning.
People think they're safe. They aren't, Leland.
The world is changing. And so are we.
No one else will get hurt.
You will get hurt.
It is dangerous, okay?
What did you do with her? You emailed us those stories. You left the clues and led us here. Why?
The world's a bad place.
They say it's bad for you. Like the way that we're all connected now.
Everything's bad for you these days.
Give it up. And when you watch it on Amazon, please make sure to leave a review for the show. It'll help them out. You guys ready to meet the cast and crew? All right. Starting off with the first person. He's the co-creator, executive producer, wrote on the show as well. He refuses to let me audition for his work. Mario Michoni. Yeah, that's your name. Yeah, that's how.
Everything's fine.
Don't worry, it's my first time too. I understand. All right, this next person. He is a producer, story developer. He also plays James on the show. Yes, I remembered that. He also has the best abs in the business. I wanted to make sure to mention that. He came on my channel years ago, changed in front of me. He was trying to seduce me. It worked. Michael Nardelli. This guy is super friendly, producer and story developer. He's equal parts sexy, equal parts creepy. Patrick Bateman's American Psycho was based on him. Tim Nardelli. Buddy. And this is the main series director. Talked to her backstage. No jokes for her because I don't want to get tweeted at. Roxy Shih. This actress, she plays Amy in the show. You might have seen her on Lost in Space, Siren, and Teen Wolf. And her name was my vocal warm-up this entire week. Sabangale Malambo. This actress you might have seen in the show True Calling, and she played Glory in Buffy. And we share the same birthday, I found out this afternoon. Claire Kramer. Virgos Unite. This actress, she's done a lot of YouTube, and she was actually in the movie 4 Rooms, I found out today. This is Lana Mckissack. This actress you might have seen in The Young and the Restless, East Los High, and Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. Not Naomi Gonzalez. Noemi Gonzalez? Noemi? Noemi Gonzalez. Yeah. This actor has the most intense eyes in the business. You might have seen him in Terminator, The Sarah Chronicles. Let's bring out Renee Hager. Got it right? Yeah. This man has a short film coming out that he wrote and directed called Lear Shadows, and he's also can be seen on Mad Men, and he has the kind of curly hair I wish I could comb mine like. Brian Ellarding. Yeah. Look at this ethnically diverse panel right here. Okay, so I feel like I gotta ask the most important question in the room. Which one of you freaks has accessed the dark web before? I'm looking at you.
We can't say or deny that we've accessed the dark web.
Has anyone in this audience accessed the dark web before?
Yeah.
Security, if you can arrest those two individuals
Y'all
right
bold.
there, that'd be great. Wow. Okay, how about this? A question we could actually all yes and to right here. What has been the scariest thing, after watching the show, what has been the scariest thing you can personally say you experienced on the internet or social media for that matter?
Ooh, I got a good one. Remember chat roulette? Remember that thing that was around for like a day? My friends and I went on that one time, and there was a man dressed as a baby with a binky in his mouth. Wow. That was a pacifier, not a binky. Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty scary.
Have any of you guys done the Face app yet?
Oh yeah, Russian.
Yeah, I don't want to give it that.
It's so scary, I will not post it.
Mine looked terrible when you did it the other day.
I did that on Michael the other day. We were supposed to be preparing for this panel, and instead I got really sidetracked, messing with Michael's face the entire time. But actually, Michael, I got to ask you, how did you come up with the idea of an anthology series about the dark side of the web? Like, I got to say, like, when I saw this trailer, I did have that thought. I made a joke about it, like, oh, is this going to be like Black Mirror? But it's actually totally different, and I really appreciated that. And the other thing I was saying to you was I thought because it's dark web, it might just have like cheap gags of, like disturbing things. But really, it's more disturbing because of the psychological elements behind it and not relying on violence. So how'd you come up with this? How did you decide on the format? How would you describe it?
Yeah, me and these stooges did a movie called Circle. About 4 years ago. It's on Netflix now. You saw it. You saw it. Good. And so we wanted to work together again in kind of the same capacity. And we all three of us grew up on like Twilight Zone and Outer Limits and shows like that, anthology format, where you can talk about current events and relevant topics, but do it in a spooky genre way. And like you said, we didn't want to compete with other shows that had done that. So we just started talking about what it would be, and we knew we wanted to have anthology segments that were connected by sort of a serialized narrative, one character, one storyline that would, the more you watched, you would see recurring motifs and symbols and themes that sort of became more than just the sum of their parts. And so we all started talking for weeks, months, had crazy, crazy, crazy ideas. Luckily, we eventually realized the best container for all of it was the dark web, because it's real. We were all fascinated by it. There's tons of stories coming out of it every day. It's relevant, it's topical, and I feel like it'll generate terrifying stories for years to come because it's unpoliced and not going anywhere, scarily enough.
So you're saying you could have a season 2 in mind, potentially?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, can I audition? Can I audition?
Yes.
Oh, thank God, that's why I'm here. All right, so my next question would probably be for Roxy, actually.
Oh, hi.
Roxy is just waking up on the panel right now.
What's up?
Oh, what's up? Hey. What would you say, you directed the main series of this and even an anthology, Eat, Pray, Love. What would you say is going to surprise people the most about this specific show?
It's interesting because every time I try to describe what dark web is to somebody, it sort of goes over their heads. The best way I could say it is, who watched Are You Afraid of the Dark? Okay, so whenever I would explain to people, I say I directed the campfire. Okay, but like this campfire is like completely different because like the anthologies, there's no, it's like the Wild West, I would say. Like, you don't know when it's gonna appear. It's all interlinked together. Everything is just tied to everything, which is the main thematic line through the whole series, is that we're all more connected than we think. And so that would be the best way that I would describe it to somebody. But when you watch the show, just remember to keep an open mind, because this is such, I guess, it took a lot of risk for the showrunners to do something like this because no one has ever done it before. But that's where it comes with that whole indie filmmaking sort of spirit, that I think that a lot of people are afraid of, are missing, like streaming has become like this whole thing now. When we first started making this, the landscape was entirely different. And I know that Michael and the whole team were thinking about like having it be we'll get to this conversation later. But like, it takes a lot of fucking...
Roxy, it says on the card.
I just read
people
that.
May be under 18.
You saw the way I reacted to it. It
kids.
was an honest reaction, so I'm deeply sorry for the reaction.
Kids have never heard that word
Yes,
before. What are you
seriously.
thinking, Roxy?
No, I don't know where
Well, now
that
you can
came
say it.
from.
You asked if you could say it.
Let's
Now
just-
the seal
Every
is
other
broken.
word now. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I would
Throw
just
that
say
one.
that this is sort of like a show that like really comes from the indie spirit in terms of the genre, science fiction and horror space, but it also has a lot of heart in it too, So that's how I would describe the show.
Well, I was hearing you guys kind of banter backstage a little bit. What would you say the process is for surviving? Because there was a really tight shooting schedule. So it was like 16 to 18 page like shoot days. Like, what's the process of surviving something like that, dealing with that, leading that? Did you piss them off?
Comedy.
Oh my
Comedy.
God.
It's a heavy series, right? There's a lot of dark stuff in it, and this is a wonderful group of people. We can go dark, but I think we kept it bright by making each other laugh and being brutally teasing each other all the time.
Too brutal.
Lana.
I was gonna say you. All right.
So, Tim, Look at that stare, man. Tim, you came up with the story for the episode Transplant, which shows the horrors of the black market medicine. What was your inspiration for? Man, that episode was crazy, by the way. What was your episode for writing this? Is this how Michael gave you his kidney?
No. Although I'll keep that in mind for the future. The idea first came about through just doing studies. I always found the idea of someone being able to receive someone else's heart through medical science to just be absolutely trippy. The fact that someone you don't know and you can just receive their heart, and just playing off that, we all are familiar with the haunted house concept in that rather than it being a haunted house, it's a haunted heart. And as we were beginning production on this, I teamed up with Mario on this. We had a great working experience on Circle, and the two of us just developed the idea ever so further to tell a tale about someone receiving like a heart, and whether it was an act of fate or science that was completely traumatizing the main character, Henry, we don't know, but whatever it was certainly the heart that was causing it upon him.
Wow, some Mario. It's Mario, right?
Mario.
See, I'm the only one saying it right up here tonight. Only one. Everyone's calling him Mario. Gosh.
Yeah, no one can.
Yeah.
It's different every time.
Yeah, it's.
He's been your friend for like 5 years.
I've started saying Mario when I go to Starbucks now because one time I got a cup that said Ariel, like the Little Mermaid.
Oh, wow.
Okay, fine, I'll give it to you, Mario.
Dude.
So Ariel, what was the most challenging thing about bringing this script to life? And I gotta ask, what kind of research did you do about the black market medicine?
I definitely Googled a lot of like black market stuff. I think throughout doing this whole show, we've Googled a lot of weird stuff, and we're definitely on some databases. We did a lot of the graphics internally, and we had to do a lot of graphics featuring like unclothed bodies. And so Michael and I had a Dropbox of just naked people that we were censoring for graphics, and we seemed like perverts. I'd be like, I'm not opening this at work. I'm just going to wait till I get
We had
home.
to send that to our effects artists
Yes.
sometimes, and we were like, are we sending them porn?
Yeah.
Weird.
But for transplant in particular, Google a lot, just statistics. Something like the WHO says something like a kidney is sold on the black market every hour, and half of all of the organ transplants done in the world every year are illegal, apparently. And so it was just interesting. The story was really interesting. Just this idea that this guy needs a heart, and he's dying. If he doesn't get it, he's going to die. But getting this heart and taking this from someone else sort of introduces this foreign body into him, and he's not really sure if he should be grateful for the heart or if he should be afraid of the way he's feeling after he has the heart transplant, essentially.
Yeah.
And so it was just sort of an interesting experiment, because there are some pseudosciences we talk about in the episode, things like cell memory theory, the idea that if you introduce someone else's organ into your body, traces of them might start to change your own DNA. So they kind of, we deal with that too. It's a little bit of, is this a supernatural thing? Is this a scientific thing? Like, what's going on with him?
Who is that actor, by the way, the main actor?
Dwayne Shepard Jr.
He's amazing in that
good.
world.
He's
You
really
guys
good.
will love that like, he is seriously incredible in that. Tim, how is the production bringing something new to this story?
Well, I'd say the fact that we have all these talented actors, actresses, filmmakers, directors coming aboard this one show, as Roxy said, and yet all these magnificent ideas have not only found their way onto the show, but they're all like so woven in together, so perfectly, in the sense that each of the B stories speaks to the main characters in one way or another. And the fact that the stories which, were crafted, some time ago, and yet somehow they managed to, tie in together with the search for Molly. And, as Mike said, me and Mario have all grown up with like the Twilight Zone, that to see, anthology shows such as this, but having like a single narrative to it as well, it's just incredible.
One thing we wanted to do with the anthology stories is they had to stand alone because we were bringing in all these different writers and directors to do them. But they also had to have pieces that would lead the main characters in the overarching story on this journey. So it's a little bit meta in the sense that some of the stuff you see in the anthology is later referenced by the main characters. They'll talk about characters, they'll talk about locations, and those things are clues that are pushing them forward on their main kind of story.
Yeah.
And one thing we wanted to do with the anthologies was, as Tim said, each story has something to do with thematically to the person it goes to. So Rideshare is about a fired person who's sort of trying to figure out where he's supposed to be and what he's supposed to do with his life, and it's sent to Ethan, who is a recently fired journalist trying to figure out what he's going to do. Hacked, which is the second episode, is sent to a social media superstar, and it's about someone who gets instant social media stardom, and all that comes with that. And so each one kind of ties into that. So we wanted them to apply to the people they were being sent to, but also fit into this bigger story where these characters are searching for their friend, and the only thing they have to go on are these tales that she's written and she's left behind for them.
It's a good mystery. Like, I was planning on only watching the first 4 episodes to feel like I really knew something about the show, but we ended up binging the whole thing this week because we wanted to know the answers.
Well, the format is sort of, as Roxy was saying, unique in the sense that the overarching story early on in the show, it's a smaller part, it's a framework, it's like the campfire. And as the show goes, that story starts to become bigger and bigger to the point where eventually it gets its own episodes. And ultimately you see that this bigger story is just another tale from the dark web, essentially. And it's saying, they're all commenting on something about the dark web, be it social media stardom or things like rideshare apps or organ transplants. And then this other overarching story kind of is commenting on the internet as a whole and like where it's going and where it can go. And so they're one of the stories themselves, sort of.
Awesome. Do you guys want to see a scene from the dark web? We have a scene here. This is featuring Zach and Molly and Noemi. You haven't seen the show yet, right?
I haven't seen.
You haven't seen anything
I saw
yet.
the trailer, guys. So I've seen as much as you guys. I'm really excited.
Well, I asked Michael if I should set this up, and he said no, get it over with. So, yeah, let's just play the first scene with Noemi and Renee.
Hey, I got it to work 30% of the time. That should be enough for... Go team. Hi.
Molly! My God, how did you run this?
What? I didn't.
That file, it was encrypted. How did you crack it?
It wasn't. It was just a text document.
Text doesn't do this, Molly!
I swear, it was just a document. I didn't think anything would happen.
My God, there are no unencrypted files on this entire system, Molly. We got up.
Sorry.
You gotta go. I'm sorry. You gotta go. You gotta leave, Molly.
What about the algorithm?
I'll do it myself. I don't know. You gotta go, okay? You have no idea what you're messing with here.
I promise. I won't touch anything else. I swear, I don't...
It's dangerous, Molly! It is dangerous, okay? Do you understand?
How in the hell can software be dangerous?
My fault. This is on me. I put you in a shitty position. I should have known you couldn't help yourself. And right now, you gotta go, Molly. I got a disc. I gotta put it back the way it was. And you gotta go. Before that 9 a.m. shift, you gotta get out of here, okay? I'll take it from here.
You're right. I'm sorry, I just wanted to help.
I know. Molly.
I'm okay.
Full chills.
All right, so I was told to cut out the F words. I didn't know Roxy was going to drop one within the first 5 minutes, so...
Let's play the clip again and have Roxy fill in all the F-bombs that go on.
Happy to.
That is an intense episode. That's a really intense one. So, Noemi, I'm
Yes.
so self-conscious that I keep saying your
I
name
know,
wrong.
it's all good. Don't trip.
Noemi. Syllables the whole time. So with Molly, she's this tech genius character, and she's also a gifted writer. Literally, she's like apparently like the most amazing writer ever in the show. What would you say you love the most about your character?
She is complex, and she is full of conviction. You know, she's very layered, obviously, through the fact that she can write these dope things. And in general, just, you know, I don't want to give away too much. I want, like, you know, obviously, where's Molly, guys? But I like her conviction, and I like that she might be rebellious, and she'll do whatever it takes. And I feel like that's a superhero thing to do, like, in so many ways, for herself, for whomever is near her, and conviction for sure.
Are you both of those? Can you write stories as well? Are you tech savvy?
I relate to her, yes, absolutely, because the way I see her is like an architect. An architect is both technical and artistic, and just because, you know, I say this with love, because I'm a self-identified nerd, and reclaiming that word, like, truly, like...
Comic-Con!
Yeah, so to me, it's like, obviously, I'm a woman, I obviously, you know, I'm femme passing here, but I'm totally a tomboy in so many ways. I obviously, like, write, but I also have to, as an actor, be aware of the administrative things.
Sure.
So it's like, we can use all of our brains, y'all. Like, so I embrace the fact that it doesn't have to be black or white. We are totally gray, and Molly's like rocking the gray with conviction.
Yeah, awesome. So after filming this series and seeing like the conspiracy theories about social media companies, you know, listening to our conversations, which I do. I did that with all of you today. How paranoid have you become when using your phone?
I talk to them. I literally am like, robots, we cool. Like, you know, we can all live together. We're good. We're good. Like, and I'll also like FBI, like, stop playing. Like, I'll just make them laugh because I'm legit like, I want to like make it as comedic as possible because I'll just leave it at that.
So Renee, this is your second time working with Felt Films.
Yep, that's right.
How was working on Dark Web different than Circle? Are they just as abusive as they come across?
Yeah, that's it. That's always the same thing. I don't even know why I'm doing this for the second time. No. They're the most amazing people, really, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart to be part of it yet again. I don't know.
Dark Web.
This I'll use Brian's. I'll use this one. Here we go. All right. Different in terms of location. If you recall Circle, Greg, that's all in one room. So it was crazy filming that. I didn't even know how they were going to do it. I mean, from a technical standpoint, cinematography-wise, you know, long conversations between Michael and Mario and you know, everybody else that was there. Aaron at the time still, and you know, trying to figure out how do we shoot this? Every 2 minutes something happens. You know, how do we capture it? And this was much more normal in that sense, right? In terms of locations and whatever, you know, hospital scene, we shot that, you know, on a sound stage, things like that. So in terms of location, it was very different. In terms of the people, it was very much the same, which I love because they're friends, they're family, good times.
Right. Yeah. To put it lightly, you've played many intense characters. Right. I was legit kind of nervous to meet you.
Oh, come on, Greg.
You're always. Then I met you back, and I'm like, oh, you're like one of the nicest ones here, actually.
Thank you.
So,
that means a lot.
But what's your preparation? What would you say your approach is to acting like, especially to be such a nice dude, and to be that intense all the time?
Thanks, Greg. Well, I think. Coming with the intensity, usually they're villains. They're like the so-called bad guys, you know, causing the trouble in the story. But if I, as an actor, were to approach it that way, he's a monster or he's not relatable. He's just a bad guy. He's the villain. Then I'm not going to get to the bottom of the human being, right? In fact, I think that's very dangerous if you do that. It's throughout history. I mean, I feel like that's why you should always have, you know, World War II stories, things like that. You know, if I just say like the Nazis were monsters that dropped from the sky, then I don't think that does, that ruins everything. That's very dangerous to say that. You're saying that they're not real people, and it's something that just occurred. No, they're people, and We have to prevent this from happening again. So you want to understand where they're coming from. So for me, it's always like, where's the human being? You know what I mean? It's oftentimes really frightening because you're looking at the guy and you're looking at these actions and what he does, and you're like, oh man, that's just terrible, terrible human being. But that's not enough, that I'm not going to understand it that way,
Yeah.
So I feel like as an actor, you have the responsibility to find a human being portrayed that way. It might be uncomfortable, but that's the truth. You're always seeking the truth, and it might be uncomfortable, but I think that's what you're looking for as an artist.
Yeah, that's true. So what I got from that was you want to play a Nazi one day.
He's already done it. He's already done it.
That's I
I
kind
saw
of
him in a
zoned
movie.
out. I think you said a lot of really cool things, but you want to play? Okay, yeah. Felt Films will work on that for you right away. All right. So we got a second scene here. This one is just titled Claire. Can't really give much away. But I would it's from the episode Eat, Pray, Love. Let's just roll this clip. Let's see what happens. Let's see how everyone reacts. Why not? Yeah, let's do it.
Hi.
Hi.
I was worried you may have gotten cold feet.
I'm a little nervous.
Don't be. Come in. Come in. Drink.
I'm sorry. I'm just. I feel like.
I know. If you're having second thoughts, it's okay.
No. I want to do this. I want to do this. For you. For me. I've come to like you. I want this.
Okay, so, maybe we should just relax a little. Not take things so seriously. Okay?
That'd be good.
Yeah. You ready?
What a teaser.
Right up. Claire's 4 children are sitting right there.
They're not watching this show.
So Claire.
Yes.
Let's just move on. We don't have to ask any questions about that. You play a character who's put it lightly, an experienced woman in online dating. What is the worst online dating experience you or your friends have ever been a part of?
Well, it's interesting because I am a serial monogamist and have been, in a relationship for a very long time. So I don't have any experience at all with online dating, but I did listen to some stories, and there are some crazy things happening out there. So it wasn't that far of a stretch, for me to characters, as you were saying, especially with villainous characters, you're not always like them, but you relate to them in a way, you look at them objectively. And so when I approached playing her, it wasn't about my own experiences, but what it would be like if I was going through these things.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Would you encourage your kids to do online dating when they're older?
I don't honestly. This may sound, like I don't know, a different answer, but I think that technology is such a part of our society now, and it's such a part of everyone's lives, especially young people's lives, that I don't think there's a way to really avoid it. You know, I think that is, even if you're not online dating, you look at someone's Instagram, you're looking at their Facebook, you're looking, that's online dating as much as anything else. You know, you don't necessarily have to swipe or go to Tinder or Grindr or any of the other apps. You're already judging someone by their social profiles and by, their online presence many, many times, more so than not, I think.
It's true. That's why everyone should get the Face app and make yourself look a lot younger.
Dark Web, sponsored by Face app.
Yes.
Catfish.
Shout out to them. But yeah, you are an active participant in social media yourself. So how would you say that's positively or negatively affected your life?
I mean, I think social media and I think, the internet in general can be a very positive place because you can reach like-minded groups of people that you can't reach, in person. So say you're a young person growing up in Ohio or Iowa, somewhere where there's not a big, urban community, you can reach groups that you may affiliate with, whether it's a sexual orientation or a group that you are interested in the same beliefs religiously with. There's a very positive usage of the internet, and it is a connector of people, So for me, social media isn't so much about, creating a voice that isn't my own. It's about sharing my own experiences with other people across the world that I may never meet in person, but online we can share a laugh and we can grow and we can educate each other. That's my usage of social media.
That's beautiful to hear because I have a YouTube channel, so I have a wormhole of darkness of the comment pages, So to hear like a positive answer, I'm like, this is refreshing to hear, actually. Yeah.
I think that as an artist, you bring up a really good point because, now our reviews aren't just in, the New York Times or in papers. They're everywhere. There's many reviews of any particular piece of content out there. And as an artist, I think you really have to be cognizant of who you're reading a review from, and you have to be cognizant of the positive and the negative comments.
True.
Because one thing that having a voice online does, not necessarily with reviewers, but in general, is it gives a certain anonymity to the person. And when you have that anonymity, you are less responsible for your voice or your actions. And so it's really important not only for yourself to recognize that, but when you are reading opinions, not to take them either way too seriously as an artist, because it's just access to way more opinions than we had 20 years ago.
So everyone use that anonymity tonight to watch Dark Web, go on Amazon, and leave a comment, okay?
And we won't read them.
Yeah. We won't read them, but do it anyway. Yeah. So we have another scene here. This features everyone else in the show right here. Svangale, Lana, Michael, Brian. Let's play this scene. Group huddle.
I'm not surprised. She loved to write. She was always sending me new stuff.
Were they all this twisted?
Molly was drawn to that stuff. She was working through her shit. We both were.
Wow, we all have issues.
I knew I recognized you. You're that chick who got famous over those nudie pics, right?
Exactly how do you know so much about Molly?
We were in love. Had a real good thing, then she disappeared.
Molly was gay.
News to me.
Makes sense.
Totally nothing wrong with that.
I'm sure she appreciates the validation.
How did you find this place if you never even met Molly?
I had her name, her email. That's usually enough for me. I spent 2 weeks just being angry after she flaked on me. But it was weird, though. Something just wasn't right. So I went through our old combos, and those last 2 weeks, she was just different. She'd sign in lists. She'd send sad shit and say she was joking when I called her out on it. I remember her saying some vague shit about her job and how she couldn't tell me everything. She seemed scared. I love conspiracy, but it wasn't like her not to show. So I did what I do. I started prying. It wasn't until this week that her email account became active again, and I knew. Something bad happened to her, and she needed my help.
We're trying to find her too. Make sure she's safe.
I'm sorry I tried.
It's okay.
I just want to talk to her again.
Hey, can I put this down now? My arms are really sore.
Nailed it, y'all.
All right, so my first question will be to Sabangale, which I found out your name means to be, you told me to be grateful for?
Yes, to be grateful and to be thankful.
That is awesome. That is awesome. That's my new affirmation. Sabangale. So out of all the characters in the dark web, the character you play, Amy, she seems to be the most educated about the good and the bad side of the internet. What would you say from this experience that you have implemented in how you use the internet or social media?
Well, I
Hack a lot of things. Yeah.
I wish I had that skill. I don't have that skill. I think my brother's more skilled in that area. But I'm not very tech savvy, unfortunately. So for me, I really use my social media for work, for promoting stuff. And I love traveling. So, put some stuff there about traveling and family. But I don't really share a lot of, there is some personal stuff, but not too much,
Where can people follow you? Because everyone should do it right when this is done.
Instagram @Sibongile, Facebook.
There we go. Never gonna blow up your social media.
Twitter. Yeah. Same.
What would you say? Because you've worked on shows like Lost in Space on Netflix and Sirens. How was working on this different from the other shows? I know this show has the biggest budget of them all. How was working on this show?
Well, this was actually my first show that I did when I moved to Los Angeles.
Wow.
So I had just moved to America, back to America earlier that year, and this was the first one. So I feel like this was the start to the momentum. I'm really grateful to Russell Bose for bringing me in, and it was such an experience. So I was learning a lot, and everyone was very welcoming and kind, and I had a lot of questions. So it was, yeah.
Who on the cast, if you were able to hack one of their Facebook accounts, which one would you go for?
Oh my gosh, Lana's.
Lana's.
I feel like I find a lot of interesting stuff. Definitely hers.
That's a great transition. So Lana,
Did you see me?
Yeah.
she was on Facebook at that time. You play the character Sam, who is a social media star. After filming this, do you change any way how you handle social media yourself?
I'm probably on it more, ironically. No, this actually, I did get to see the whole thing, and do I sound like I'm on the radio? Is it weird?
Girl, you have the most
Okay.
epic voice. Keep going.
No, it's fine. I was very unfamiliar with all aspects of the dark web, so seeing all this stuff, I was like, what? This happens? This is crazy. But you asked earlier about, weird things that have happened online. Something that triggered something in me after this was a friend of mine who makes YouTube videos and is pretty popular. He used to show his front door of his house in the videos, but, obviously it could be any street, anywhere. Somebody showed up at his house and just walked in, and he was with a friend, and he was like, oh, is this your friend? Because they were having a gathering, and the other guy was like, oh, no, I thought it was your friend. She'd been there for 20 minutes.
Jeez. Oh my God.
Before they realized neither of us knows this person, and then they were like, who are you, what's going on? And she said, oh, I recognized your front door from your videos, and I just happened to be driving by, which that's not a thing. Like, what?
Just happened to be driving
It's like,
by.
well, I sort of figured out what area you live in, and then I was like, okay, well, that is very scary. So that, more than anything here, made me go, okay, I should probably be very careful about, anywhere I am right now, like geotagging or anything like that. But
I should take my exact address off of my Twitter as soon as possible. Mario's like, I got a new story idea. Season 2, here we go.
I just feel like don't post a video of your door online, and it's a good first step.
Well, so how would you say your own experience with YouTube fandom? Wow, okay, that story is really shocking. How would you say that influenced your performance as Sam?
Well, it made it easier to relate to this person because on the show, Sam is kind of an a-hole, if you will. Or that's how she comes off. And I think if you look at people who are social media stars and you go, wow, they have to, when they're on the beach on vacation, they can't just enjoy it. They have to be filming it. They have to, it's part of the job. And you roll your eyes, you're like, oh, the phone's out again, the camera's out again. But if they don't do that, they lose their livelihood. So I think just sort of having an empathy for that, because I was never like that level of, what Sam is. But I did understand, if you don't post something every day, you become less relevant. And if you're less relevant, you're not gaining viewership. And if you're not gaining viewership, then your channel's dead. It's just that simple. So.
I mean, I saw you still have like 177,000 followers on YouTube, so I think you're doing all right there on the YouTube.
200,000.
Correction.
So, Brian, what conditioner do you put in your hair?
For once, the guy gets the girl credit. I applaud you.
I'm wearing thrift store and hotel soap in my hair. No, it's David Curl. If that
anyone with curly hair.
Curly hair, it helps. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you ever have like curly? This is all the questions are going to be.
Thank
about,
you.
yeah.
I'm so glad there's nothing with real content for me. I'm like an afterthought. Just like handwritten.
You're top billing on the show.
I think I'm in this show. I think I'm in this show. I don't know anymore. What was the question?
All right, we'll ask a real question. All right. What was your favorite experience on the dark web set?
Sorry.
And if you can transition that crazy story I was hearing backstage, that would be great.
Which crazy story was I telling?
Shooting 16 and 18 pages.
Oh yeah. So we had this amazing shooting schedule, and we were really shooting 16, 18 pages at a time. And normally for TV, they, at most, if you're doing a procedural, they'll maybe have a 5-page scene that they'll shoot in one go, and you sort of work on that scene and you prepare, and then they shoot it, and then you have time. They do turnarounds for everybody. But for this, Roxy is a sadist, and she would have us do 16 pages of coverage at once. So roll camera, action, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 3A, scene 4, cut. And so we were crazy people with our scripts, like, oh God, I guess I'm ready. Yeah, okay, I'm ready. Go to set. And so to sort of stay sane throughout, I don't know, I think Michael started it, but we started getting into Careless. You guys know the song Careless Whisper by Wham?
Yeah.
Oh.
It became our anthem. And we'd be sitting and we'd be working on a scene or just between takes, and I think it started to drive people kind of crazy. And I have a multimedia part of the show that I'd like to share with you. And we just hear this. And then Lana started doing this amazing.
Yeah.
Will you reenact your? It was like a weird. It was like 3 a.m. and we were super burnt out, and all of a sudden this like sexy version of Careless Whisper saxophone solo came through, put you on the spot, Lana.
It's like breathy. It was like.
I came on and had no idea why they were doing this.
Every day. We did it every day.
Because I was like
Lost our
90% of
minds.
the time not on set. Like with them, rather.
Right.
I was like, what is going on?
It even went over to the B stories. We were shooting Transplant, and all of a sudden, was it the AD just started singing? I'm like, what the hell?
We owe George Michael's estate some money, I feel.
That song was literally stuck in my head during the course of filming that I even found myself like humming it. I'm like, ah!
I think it was sung at the cast party, the karaoke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they made an appearance.
It's still in our heads. We were singing it today, and I think it was just like seeing each other's faces made us think of this.
I didn't actually realize it had lyrics.
It
Like,
doesn't.
I've heard, I did, right, it's just saxophone or whatever it is, but then apparently there are words too. Yep.
This is the end of the. We're just doing this for the next 20 minutes.
This is the most the whole panel has chimed in all at once.
We are all singing this as we walk out the doors today.
This is the new theme song for Dark Web Season 2, right?
It really is.
So, Brian, who cuts your hair? Where does where Barbara go? No.
She's at the Hive in Highland Park in Los Angeles. She's wonderful.
Okay, so what did I appreciate that we have this recorded. So, what did the story of Dark Web teach you about the responsibilities of the internet and social media?
That's actually really interesting. I sometimes work with kids. I promise I keep it together. But I work with kids, and the kids these days are actually way better about bullying than they were in person, at least, than they were when I was a kid. I go to schools around Pasadena. I live and I work around Pasadena, a little theater. And the thing that's gotten weird, though, is how bad things have gotten online. And I think what by focusing on this during the shooting and afterwards, thinking about it, how much we really do kind of have to take care of each other in that same way online as well. It really does get to people in deep, like under our skin, even if it's anonymous, even if we try and play it down like, nah, the comments, it's not a big deal. It actually does get to people sometimes, and I think it's made me less willing to just like jump on Yelp and rage at a restaurant. It's made me less willing to just fire off clever witticisms on Twitter because I think nobody's listening. I have friends who are on TV shows and it still pings them, you know, and it still gets to you. So that's I think what it made me think about is how we can be kind, not just in person, which I think we're making progress on, at least the younger generations are, but also online.
That's true, because I think that as much as people like try to prepare you for, like, hey, the internet's a scary place with the comments, and like, I'll be fine. I feel like a lot of people will hear that, but they're not really as emotionally prepared for it as they think they are. Yeah.
It brings out anonymity. I think somebody was talking about anonymity can let it's like almost like people get drunk with anonymity. People get drunk with power. They also get drunk with anonymity. And sorry, this got really dark and like heavy. I was the funny guy a minute ago, but it's like I think we have to act like people can hear and see us.
It's true. I feel like most of the people at Hall H don't fall under that category of mean comments, right? Right? Everyone here at Comic-Con today?
Hall H.
Everyone's nice, right?
Legendary Hall H.
Right? No one leaves mean YouTube comments? Okay, I'm just going to stare at this crowd for a while. See what response happens. So I'm going to open up the floor. We got a few minutes left. I'm going to open up the floor to the audience in a little bit, but I did want to ask a fun question for everyone on the panel, one at a time, starting with Mario. What social media app can you not live without?
I wish I'd been prepped for this. I would say maybe lately Twitter, which is terrible. I used to hate Twitter, and I didn't understand it at all, and I would be like, I don't understand why people are doing that. But now it's where I get all of my news. Like when something happens in the world, I find out on Twitter well before the news organizations are reporting it. So I'd say Twitter, absentmindedly just scrolling.
Kids, get your news from Twitter.
I mean, double check it, but yeah, it's good.
Tim? Yeah, it's the same question. It's for everyone.
Oh.
You know? Yeah, it's going. I know you've checked out like 30 minutes ago, but
let's see. App I can live without.
Cannot live without.
Cannot live without.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably Instagram, maybe, just because as an artist, you know, I love to go on there and see like what some of my buddies are like drawing and painting, and I just find it inspiring and motivating in the sense that, wow, someone painted this beautiful painting on iPad Pro. God, I gotta stop spending time on email and more time drawing and painting. So
shames you into work.
Exactly. So even though people go on there to just see imagery, I guess I go on there to shame myself. It's like, see, this is what my buddy Mike is doing, so I need to do this as well too.
Tim's also an incredible artist, though.
Brilliant.
He is. He is.
Thank
Him on Instagram.
Michael, I know you're always posting pictures of your abs on Instagram.
I did it once.
I like them all the time.
I'm a serious actor. I don't do that stuff.
What would be your answer for the
YouTube, so I can watch your videos.
Ooh, cross promotion.
Subscribe to the Real
That's how you do it.
Rejects. Click that notification.
Yeah. Also, if I don't get to say it later, thank you all for coming too. I know there's a lot of other panels and stuff you could go to, and lots of really big movies and everything. So we're all really grateful that you came to this, which is a new story, and we really believe in telling new stories and giving new voices a chance and all of that stuff. So thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
And we have Bowman Modine, one of the directors here, and Daniel McGilvery, our post supervisor, and I see Veronica, makeup artist. So thank you all.
Wow. And then Roxy, what social media can you use?
It's so interesting. Like the older I get, like the more I love Facebook. no one agrees with me on
That's
this.
true. That's true,
totally
yeah.
fine. But I feel like I get the most validation from my parents there, which is the most important thing in an Asian American woman's life. That's it. Follow me on Instagram, Roxy Sheep.
I'm gonna agree and say Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook because it keeps me connected to like all my family and friends around the world. It's the easiest way to stay in touch. And then of course Instagram.
Oh, nice. Claire?
Well, I love them all equally, but I'm a Reddit person because I like deep dives into like opening my stove and fixing the burner myself, or like vacuuming out my fridge and taking the gate off, which I just did this past weekend. I learned by reading a Reddit thread to remove the back of my fridge, and like I cleaned it all out. So I love Reddit. That's my thing.
Awesome. Lana?
I'll say Instagram because Twitter and Facebook depress me sometimes. I love them, but Facebook, people are just always fighting. Like I'm muting family members with questionable beliefs, and then other people are fighting in my feed. I'm like, I can't do it. And then Twitter, I go and I'm like, oh, I love this. This is so fun. And then I follow a lot of political accounts, so then I'm just depressed again. So then I go to Instagram and I go, oh, my friend's on vacation again. Yeah.
Twitter is definitely a cesspool, but it's still my favorite.
I know.
Belong there.
I do. I feel at home.
Noemi?
Professionally, Instagram. Personally, I'm gonna Pinterest because
nice.
it connects all of them. I can get to Reddit, I can get to Instagram,
That's
and
true.
I feel like literally I have like shelves of like knowledge of like, oh yeah, I pinned that. I'm gonna go look that up. Oh yeah, this research, my inspo, my mood board, like.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, Pinterest to me is like,
Pin it.
men and women need to like really get on it.
These are all clues of where to primarily follow them, by the way, guys.
Oh, I'm private
Pick up
on
that.
Pinterest. No one knows my
You'll figure it
my
out. We're at a dark web panel. They'll figure it out. Renee?
I gotta be honest. Professionally, I do realize we're Instagram, Facebook, just advertising, just getting the word out. You're working on something that you want people to see, and again, like Michael said, thanks for coming. But I gotta be honest. I think I could live without them all. I'm a little more old school that way.
Awesome.
I'm not drawn into it as much, Like I'll do it for the character and all that, but me, Renee, I could live without social media.
Nice. Brian?
I terrorize my friends with GIFs. So Giphy, and it's GIF, not GIF. I will die on that hill. Graphic interface, I will die on that hill. Giphy is probably the one, because then I can just fire them off anywhere.
Giphy's the best app too.
It's great,
You
isn't
can
it? Yeah, it's
direct
better
it
than
to
the Apple
each
thing.
platform from there.
Totally,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah, Giphy.
So we got like 2 minutes left. Does anyone have a question for the panel up here? Or like 1 minute and a half left.
I love you, unicorn. You're beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like, I want that.
No?
We're going to ask you questions pretty soon.
Oh wait, it's 2:29. All right, so Michael, what important? There's an event going on. We're doing a screening for Dark Web tonight and tomorrow, right? You want to tell people about it?
There's a premiere, episodes 1 through 4 tonight at the Hard Rock Hotel. It's RSVP, but there'll probably be some space. So check out our Facebook group for more information if you want to sign up for that. Hopefully we'll see some of you there. If not, you can watch it on Amazon very soon. So thanks for coming.
Seriously, guys, it really is great, and I had a wonderful time binging it. You can follow Dark Web at Dark Web Show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. According to my notes, the cast and filmmakers will be very active there for the next few months, promoting the hell out of it. So yeah, make sure to also go on like Amazon, IMDb, leave reviews for the show. It'll really help them out a hell of a lot. Thank you guys so much for being there. Let's give these guys one more round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Mario, Tim, Michael, Roxy, Mangale, Claire, Lana, Noemi, Renee, and Brian. Thank you guys.